Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call. Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast. I am your host, Melissa Deely, and I am here today with Robby Besner, and I'm so excited to have you here, Robby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really elated to be here too.
This is going to be a fabulous episode where we introduce you to the world of red light and infrared and even more than that. And first, though, let me introduce you to Robby. He is a philanthropist, the chief science officer, device developer, and co-founder of Therasage, premier infrared healing products. And he has always been an advocate of natural health and wellness. Graduating from Boston University in pre-med, engineering, psychology, and business, he continued on to postgraduate work at Case Western Medical School and naturopathic medicine. And I also want to share with you a long list of accolades that he has, because I truly want you to know that what he shares with you today, he knows what he is talking about. He is so grounded in this information. He is a professor for the World Federation of Infrared Medicine Societies, annual contributor at the World Committee on Infrared, a member of the Education Committee of the prestigious Hippocrates Health Institute, a foundational member of the Holistic Leadership Council, a member of the Consumer Health Summit, a community for founders in wellness and fitness. And oh my goodness, Robby, you have such a long list of accolades and a long background in this work. However, I want to go back to where you started. And I know it started around your daughter's health. So I would love you to start off by sharing that story, please.
Okay, I'm going to compress it a little bit for your audience because I really want to get into the meat.
Absolutely.
But my oldest child, my daughter Julia, contracted Lyme disease in her early teens. This was about 26, 27 years ago. And as a health practitioner, I sort of unpacked the way that she was expressing herself, and she had high levels of toxicity, inflammation, cognitive challenges, and pain. So looking at all those symptoms and actually relieving, transferring her full healthcare to professionals that were called Lyme literate doctors, the top doctors in the field at that time. I just looked at her, the way she was expressing herself, focused on toxicity, did a deep dive on understanding what causes symptoms in the body, drew a direct correlation between high levels of toxicity, inflammation, and symptoms. And so my goal at that time was, I thought, postulated, if I could lower her toxic burden in her body, I could lower inflammation, lower her symptoms, the way that she was expressing herself. And that would give her a lot of her life back, because if people that, Lyme is a little bit more prevalent now, it's a little bit more spoken about. But back then it was grossly misunderstood and wrongly diagnosed in a lot of ways, because Lyme can express itself as many other diseases, chronic challenges.
Right.
Okay, so it actually took us a while to figure out that she actually had Lyme, because we were living in South Florida, and Lyme was sort of the epicenter or ground zero of Lyme was Lyme, Connecticut, which was basically the tri-state area around New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So not living anywhere near there, Lyme wasn't really on our radar,
Right.
Well, anyway, I focused on toxicity, best methods. And that's when I discovered that there's actually rays or certain frequencies of natural sunlight or the energies that come from sun that will actually mobilize all the toxins in your body. And it blew my mind, frankly, Melissa. I was like going, whoa. And then I kind of took, and that's the infrared spectrum, the infrared energies. Okay. So then I took a look at the available devices that the general average, public can buy, and who is using infrared technology in terms of for therapy. And it was only being used at that time. Again, remember, we got to turn back the clocks 27 years ago. It was only being used by sports medicine doctors to basically help players that injured themselves lower their pain and recover faster from their injury, whatever was, and get them back on the field. So that intrigued me. But again, there really wasn't a lot of these kinds of devices, red light devices, all that. There wasn't any of that, that the general public could buy. So I organized a trip to Asia, to China. I visited 65 factories over 3.5 months and decided to work with 2 of them to develop infrared devices purely just for our personal use. Julia responded so amazingly well to it that all of her doctors, and again, I'm turning back the clock, but back then we didn't have virtual medicine. We didn't have like the ability to contact a doctor, that was across a state line. It was like you needed a doctor, you went to him in person, So she had a whole entourage. Julia had a Lyme literate doctor that took lead happened to be domiciled in New York. We had a corresponding general practitioner in Florida where we lived that took the instructions from the Lyme doctor. She had a pain doctor, a psychiatrist. She had a pharmacologist. She had like an entourage of practitioners, and then there was me. So I became her general nurse and took care of like all the particulars that she needed because at that time. Anyway, I organized this trip. I started developing devices. We started using them. She started responding amazingly well. All of the doctors around her saw that she was responding well. And essentially they asked for us to start to develop these devices for their practices. And that was really the genesis of our company. And it's my wife and I. I'm the chief science officer and co-founder. My wife, Melody, is the other co-founder. Together, we basically have dedicated our lives to helping people, not just with Lyme disease, but there's so many areas, and maybe we'll touch on some of them today, that infrared and red light therapy will help the body to heal itself. And that's really kind of our key is, medications and the allopathic approach, I think, has its place, and they've got some amazing protocols and medications that are out there in the market. But my feeling as a practitioner, if I could do things that can recruit your own body's natural healing abilities, I'd rather go there and have your body do the heavy lifting, because I know that's long-term and short-term, it'll be a lot more sustainable.
I love all of that. And I especially love that the business was founded on a place of love, of helping your daughter. And I also love that you took that giant leap of faith and went over to China and visited all these factories and started developing the products before you even knew if it would work. And that is so often the case on people's healing journeys, is keep trying things, right? When we keep trying things, we have hope. And when we have hope, the body can heal. And you were able to develop some incredible products, and you've got, that engineering background, et cetera, to become the chief science officer of this company. And you're right. When we create the environment for the body to heal, it will heal itself. And you're literally recruiting the resources of the body, as you said, in order to get it into that healing state, rather than having someone having to rely on medication for the rest of their life. So it's beautiful. And I want to dive in, because you've already said a few words that I'm sure the audience doesn't necessarily fully comprehend. And so if you can just talk about what's the difference between red light therapy and infrared light, because both are now thrown around in the social media, regular media? And what is the difference between them?
Great question. And let me start off by saying that the sun communicates these subtle energies, light energy, to the planet. Infrared is responsible for heating 82% of planet Earth. Einstein and Tesla, at one point, they collaborated, but Einstein came out with very broad statements when he studied the effects of sunlight or sun energy on the planet and said, without these frequencies, without infrared frequencies, there'd be no life on our planet the way we know it today. That's how important these energies are. Most of them are actually invisible to your eye. The things that we can see is just a very small sliver. But I guess the best analogy or way to look at it is the way a radio station works. If you put on 105, it could be rock and roll. If you put on 107, it could be, R&B. If you put on 103.5, it could be country rock, right? So every dial, every increment on that radio station gives you another broadcasting radio sound, right? Well, light energy works the same way. Every increment along that electromagnetic spectrum of light energy actually has a different physiological response on the body. And I dedicated better part of 40 years of my life, my scientific experiences and applications to understanding these subtle energies and then developing devices that harness these energies and deliver them efficiently into the body.
That's beautiful and a really clear explanation. And I had no idea, even though I've heard you speak several times, I never captured the fact that 82% of the Earth's heat is coming from infrared.
Yeah. So I know you asked a two-part question. So you wanted me to differentiate between infrared and red light.
Yes.
And they're almost butted right next to each other on the scale. So there's, NASA and science has defined each of these frequencies. Mm-hmm. They're measured in what's called a nanometer. And the red light spectrum is just before the infrared spectrum, and just before the infrared spectrum is broken into three wavelengths: the near, the far, near, mid, and far wavelengths. So red light is very close to the near frequencies, and many of the attributes that you read about red light therapy, a lot of it comes from the near frequency, the invisible spectrum. So I can simply say anything skin related, like eczema, adult acne, or child acne, psoriasis, wound healing, improved microcirculation, mitochondria, which is your cell energy. It'll support cell energy. It produces a transient gas that's called one of the three gases our body makes, which is called nitric oxide. And that helps to not only increase blood flow, but also help the blood absorb oxygen. And many of the reasons why we age at all, and certainly prematurely, is from what's called oxidative stress. Our blood's ability to hold on to oxygen molecules starts to diminish as we get older. And so anything we can do to increase blood flow, that increases like the natural potentiating of nutrition. So if you're eating clean food, organic, hopefully, and if you're taking supplementations, or even if you're taking medication, we're going to circulate more of that around, allowing your tissues and your cells to absorb on a much higher level. So this is, I think, some of the greatest discoveries on the planet, and where I think medicine is going, generally speaking, is about understanding a lot of the subtle energies that, we've kind of hit a lot of the big, broad brushstrokes, but now we're kind of getting between the bed sheets. And so we can kind of understand more as science advances about how impactful these subtle energies can be on the body.
And I love that this is all available to us from Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the beginning of time, when we were living in tribes and hunting for our food, we were naturally getting this light and these healing therapies because we were spending so much more time outdoors than we do today. And so now we're lacking it because we're indoors and we're on our computers, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where your products bring it to us in our indoor world so that we can still benefit from it.
Yeah, it's one of our goals is to bring nature back into your house.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I appreciate and I address the busy lifestyles that everybody has these days. And it's more of a Western approach because I've been very humbly fortunate that in my own pursuits to try to continue to level up our technology, I travel around the world and I don't spare any expense in developing things and also the kinds of various different materials that we use and incorporate in our technology. But it's given me an opportunity to kind of look at the way other cultures approach healthcare, and also the contrast between what we know, in America and the way Asia looks at things and Central Europe looks at things. And that's given me a better appreciation of what we have here in the US, and also knowing, and I can say this, with good conscience, that we don't always get it right. Okay. And I think that was very self-evident through the pandemic experience that most of us had, that there's certain aspects of our healthcare system here that need some improvement.
Yeah.
And we can learn from other cultures. And
Absolutely.
so I've just been an open book and allowed myself to be kind of free and absorb all these different things and then take some of those aspects and incorporate them into our devices.
And I absolutely love that and your openness to learn, because we don't know what we don't know. And so we only find out as we travel and we're open to learning. And as you say, different cultures do things differently. And let's, bring some of that into what we're doing here. So I'm just going to talk very briefly because I have a few of your products, and you mentioned wound healing. And I told you this when I saw you in October, that I had a nasty cut on my pinky finger from my cat leaping out of my arms. And it scratched me inadvertently with a very sharp back foot claw. And it happened late at night, and I thought, oh, that's deep. I'm going to need stitches on that, except that I live in a small town and the clinic isn't open. So I bandaged it up and I put steri strips around it, and I left it like that for 2 days. And then I was brave enough to take the bandage off. And I also thought, I can put my hand face down on my Tri-Light mat every day for, 20 minutes or so and enhance the healing. And I did that. And within a week, it had healed up so well. I showed it to somebody else who couldn't believe how well it had healed. And now you can't even tell that it ever happened. And It's literally because of the power of using that. And it was so easy. Like I could just sit and read a book and put my hand down. And every once in a while I have to turn the page and I put my hand down again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I love how easy you make this for people. Before we dive into the products, though, I know you've mentioned a couple of the benefits of red light. You've mentioned nitrous oxide and circulation, inflammation too. That was a big reason you developed it to help your daughter, and detox. However, I know there's more. So I just I've got a list here in front of me. I can read them out, or I know you know them all in your head.
We can go back and forth, but we are listed with FDA and cleared as Class 2 medical devices. So that's a big advantage that we have over other competitors or people that are in our space, because it is kind of an open door. But when you take the highest level of credentialing, that involves bringing in third-party testing services. So, as a device developer and a bioscientist, after a while, you kind of drink your own Kool-Aid, And so we have focus groups that we send our devices out, very high profile, integrated functional practitioners. We don't tell them what's in the box. We don't tell them what it does. We just ask them to give us their true opinion. But aside from that sort of independent peer review in a way, we also go the more clinical, documented route by bringing it to United Laboratories, and NAMSA is a company that tests all of our materials for biotoxicity to make sure that there's no leaching of off-gassing of any kind of toxic events. So because the first foray, our first 15 years, we're a 25-year-old company. So the first 15 years, we spent mostly going to the medical practitioner, and through his business or through his clinic or hospital, we touched the public. So I educate a doctor, he sees 10,000 patients, and then hopefully we pair up our technology with the protocols that he already has. Mm-hmm. And my goal was mostly just to kind of improve the effectiveness or the efficacy of whatever the protocol was by adding in a layer of the devices that we've developed.
Right.
And it's worked very effectively that way. And so we kind of jump-started through the medical community, and then maybe 10 years ago, we opened up our doors to going mainstream public. So now we go directly to public, and we also go through all the medical doctors and so forth. So that's been kind of cool, and just allowing us to develop more technology, bring it to the general public, and also serve all the needs of people. We're in 33 countries, so we're
wow. I didn't know that.
So we're very, very, very blessed that we're healing people every day, and it's happening naturally, and that's what I think is what's most important. I really believe strongly that we as a culture don't truly understand exactly how strong our bodies are, and how many beautiful systems that are just given to us that we don't really exercise. And I grew up, I'm a little older than you. And so in my day, like you sneezed and you got an antibiotic, you broke your arm, you got an antibiotic. Like you got a cut on your arm, you got an antibiotic. Like everything was an antibiotic. It was the be-all end-all. And now we're discovering that isn't so great for us, because it upsets your internal terrain and your microbiome. So it helps in one way, but hurts us maybe in another way. And so what, again, I'm looking to do is understand the body physiology, and I'm pretty good at that. And then understanding the physics of technology in general, and just trying to marry the two of them together to initiate what I call a primal healing response, which is, allowing our body to do all that heavy lifting. And again, I need to say this. I appreciate Western medicine. I think there's a place for it, but it isn't necessarily the first place I go to. And it may be a little longer road to recover naturally, but I am looking to create a sustainable situation where it's not just the near-term Band-Aid, but also something that will help you in the future.
And I agree with everything that you've shared there. And there's more than one way to heal. And when we bring all of the pieces together, it creates that environment for the body to heal more easily.
Right.
And your products are so amazing because you're bringing multiple pieces together in one product, right?
Right.
So, we've talked about the benefits of red light helping with inflammation, with detox. It also helps with mitochondrial support. And we've talked about acute injuries, healing my wound, etc. The benefits of nitrous oxide and increasing blood flow and circulation and oxygenation of the body. Yep. Then there's eye health, which I'd love you to talk about a little bit too. Sure. And then you've also mentioned nutritional uptake, and that's the increased blood flow, etc. So I'd love you to just chat on that eye health piece, and then we're going to move into the products themselves.
Okay, and there's one other big one. It helps with what's called neuroplasticity. And so it'll actually improve your cognitive function and your brain's ability to respond. And again, as you start to get a little older, things become more obvious. Maybe you can't run as fast as you used to be able to run, or the words don't come out as eloquently as you used to when you were younger. And I think that one of the challenges with aging in general is the loss of cognition.
Yes.
And so to have a technology that's natural, that can improve your cognitive function, your ability for your brain to connect the dots and send messages to your muscles to work out, or just to think through a problem, and to just have a more coherent nervous system is so important. And again, not necessarily focused on exactly or correlated with using red light therapy or using infrared frequencies as a adjunct therapy that we can all do at home in the comfort of home and isn't really expensive. So I think, it has a lot of great stuff. So let's talk about eye health. I want to focus on one of our very unique developments, and it speaks to what's called an LED, a light, a certain kind of light, a bulb that's called an LED. It's really a diode. And before us in the industry of LEDs, they were developed by an engineer, and they're called the term is called monochromatic, meaning that there's one light frequency per LED. So I think sometimes there's sort of what I call industry norms, where someone develops a cool technology and then they kind of see how many devices they can put it in and all the applications, right? And so when I unpacked the origin of the engineering part, I realized that it's really more of an industry norm that there's one frequency per bulb. And I thought, well, what if I could curate 3 frequencies or a handful of frequencies and then employ those in one LED, in one diode? How would that impact our body's ability to absorb that energy on a cellular level? Because one of my theories, Melissa, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I think that basically we start to get sick on a cellular level. And then those cells that are impaired or not functioning right or sick in a sense, they impact another cell, and then all of a sudden we have a symptom. Well, the reverse also works. If you can heal on a cell level, if you can do anything, and this is really part of my consciousness, is what can I do to improve cell health? And light energy directly into a cell is one of those things. And so I spent 3 years and I cataloged all of the different wavelengths and frequencies that occur in nature. And then I started to understand the impact of these different wavelengths. And then I started to think, well, what if I can combine 2 or 3 of these wavelengths together? What would be the impact or the synergy, the synergistic effect, combination of 2 things? Is it going to be the same as if I had equal parts, or would it be an enhancement? And then what I realized was that, in fact, 1 and 1 makes 5, not 2, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, anyway, again, you're getting inside my brain here a little bit, but I curated 3 wavelengths, and I created a very unique LED that's called polychromatic, meaning more than 1 light frequency per diode. And so in our tri-light system, which is what you mentioned earlier.
I have here, and I can pull it up and turn it on so people can see it.
Wow, there we go. Okay, there are actually 1 red light that you see on screen now, and there are 2 lights that you can't see that are invisible, that are near infrared frequencies, and those mentioned earlier are very close to each other on the chromatic scale. So I curated these wavelengths, I put them into 1 diode, and then I powered it properly so that I'm actually emitting the highest amount of light energy that the body can absorb into a cell. It's actually rated, it's called emissivity, and we have a rating of around 99% emissivity. That means almost 100% of that light energy is coming through your skin, coming through your tissues, and getting directly into your cells to improve cell function.
And so my finger healed so well.
Exactly. So back to eyes. How does it work with eye health?
Yeah.
Well, that tri-light, we're currently doing traumatic brain injury studies with a very famous neurosurgeon out of Tyler, Texas. And when you put that tri-light anywhere above your neck, it'll actually improve brain function. But the studies are based on 21 minutes a day, 3 times a week. Now, it comes to eye health, of course, that's above your neck, right?
Right. Yes.
So it's not just going to affect your eyes, it'll affect your brain a little bit. But the same features, that red light and those near infrared frequencies that are invisible to the eye, will improve the microcirculation of the vessels around your eye that feeds your ocular nerve, which is the nerve that feeds that visual information or the light information directly into your brain. And because your eyes and your ears are so close to your actual brain physically, you're talking about direct contact. So the impact of these frequencies on improving eyesight, improving blood flow and oxygen to your eye, which is super important. And most of us that wear glasses, as you get a little older, your vision becomes a little bit more impaired, mostly because of lack of oxygen and lack of blood flow to your eye. So the idea that you can put the Tri-Light over your face, you can gaze at these lights. I wouldn't recommend that you stare at them. You don't have to necessarily wear any eye protection, but you just like you wouldn't look directly into a light bulb or directly into the sun. Same thing with the Tri-Light. You can put it on, you can gaze at it. As soon as you put it on, close your eyes, allow 20 to 30 minutes of session. The inline remote, it actually has a timer on it, so you can set it for 30 minutes. You can fall asleep with it on. It's amazing. Really, really great like that.
I love that. There's just so many uses for this wonderful little mat that I pulled up earlier. And if people are listening to the audio, you'll have to check this out on YouTube, episode 202, in order to see the products, or just go to the Therasage website, which you will find them all there. And this particular product I've taken on flights, and I plug it in because it's got a USB, so I can plug it into the seat, and I just have it behind my back on the flight. And for long haul travel, it's amazing because I know all of the goodness that long haul travel is so debilitating on our body. Sure. And so this is helping reduce that debilitation. And I have slept on it. I had surgery earlier this year on my leg, and I literally wrapped it around my leg because it's flexible, and I put a little Velcro strap around it. And I wore it on my lower right calf for almost 24/7 for about 3 weeks. And the surgeon was thrilled at how well it was healing. So it's a product that I absolutely love. And your explanation just now of the Tri-Lights and how you developed that and the healing benefits of it is awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, if someone were to use it on their head, can they put it straight on their head like I do the rest of my body, or does it need like a cloth? Oh, you can. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, can go right on your skin. Okay. Improving cognitive function. I like putting it back here on the brain stem. It's called the occiput. So basically, the brain is your command center, and it's sending information to every part of your body. Some is like the autonomic nervous system. You're not even thinking about it. Your brain is telling your heart to beat, but you don't think about that. You might think about lifting up an object or writing something down on a pad. That's a different part of your brain that's functioning that. But all that information is flowing and sort of funnels to that area in your back here called the occiput. And so that's where I would start. For people that have migraines, you can put it a little bit here and then a little bit where you feel it on, and like where that let's say the pain is generating from. And together it'll support that. So for those listening, you put it you start with it behind your neck. Yeah. Then if it's a migraine, you can also then put it over the area where they're experiencing the pain. So exactly. So you have another great product that's a favorite of mine, and that's the Therapro PEMF. And that really is an all-in-one. So I would love for you to talk about the magic of that device. Well, you can't see it, but I'm actually sitting on one right now. I sleep on mine. Yeah, terrific. And it's a really great device like that. It has a timer that goes up to 12 hours. So if you have chronic back pain, which a third of Americans, more than 100 million people in America complain and report that got threshold pain, back pain. So you can sleep and you can heal while you're sleeping by just having that pad under your back or the area of the body that you want to give, I call it love, but you want to give some special attention to. Maybe that's the same thing. So the Therapro was the second generation of our on-body devices. So the Instant Calma is the one that preceded it. That's generation 1. We still make those in 2 sizes. It's full spectrum infrared and natural jade stone. In the Therapro, we have full spectrum infrared. So that's the near, mid, and far frequencies, the full range. We have red light in addition. So we enhance that. We have PEMF, which is pulsing electromagnetic fields, which I want to talk about a little deeper in a minute. We also have natural gemstones. There are 5 different gemstones that are peppered throughout the pad that gives you that natural energy from the earth. We also have a microcurrent, like a TENS unit, that's also on board. So you can put in a little extension cord that comes with it. And then there's 2 paddles that you basically install in that little power cord. Then you can put those paddles anywhere about maybe 2 to 4 inches apart or further over the area that you want to heal. And then it will send a microcurrent into that area that helps support, again, blood flow, reducing pain relief, increasing oxygenation. And then in some cases, it'll actually, if you dial it up to a level that you feel comfortable with, but it'll actually create what's called fibrillation, where it'll activate a muscle to allow it to sort of exercise without exercising. So, there it's working on its own, but it's starting to work the muscle so it comes back to its natural form quicker than the body would do by itself. So that's all in one pad. And you can mix and match any of these different interventions. So I love that part about it, because the body's complex, and generally our challenges are complex. So you can find the sweet zone so in a sense, you could become your own practitioner. So this doesn't take you away from the importance of your regular doctor or health advisor, but it gives you the ability to treat yourself outside the practice using these kind of natural energies, at your own time, within your own comfort of your home. I travel with the Therapro because I know that there's something, if I'm going to convention or I'm speaking on stage or whatever it is, that there's something in that Therapro that's going to be good for me. Okay. Right. Yeah. So that's Absolutely. One of the reasons why I love it. Now,
there's so much in it. I've only had mine for just over 2 months now, and I love it. I said I sleep on it. And even before I sleep on it, I love to read before I go to bed. So I'll sit on it, and I'll have it on PEMF, and I put it on P1 for deep restorative sleep. And you've got 9 levels of PEMF as well, right? Yeah. And so you can talk to those. And I also have the red light on as well during Perfect. That. And then when I sleep, I like to sleep cold and the red light heats up. So I turn off the red light and the PEMF, and I'm just getting the benefit of the jade and the negative ions and the grounding while I'm sleeping. And a big factor for that for me was when I recently heard that for every hour you spend on a screen during the day, you need to ground for an equivalent hour as well, because of the negative effects of what's happening on our computers, on our body. And we're all one giant experiment when it comes to that, right? And Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, well, the only way I can do that is if I get it while I'm sleeping. And so that was a big reason for me in buying this product as well.
Sweet. I love all of it. We started remediating electromagnetic fields almost 17 years ago. And we've advanced our own technology where we feel there's some areas of fixing that problem that we're leaders on, simply because I don't spare any expense to our development. And I have in my research areas where I feel that many of the devices out in the world these days, they generate energies that are man-made, that the body doesn't resonate with, that doesn't harmonize with. So how do we bring your body back to a sustainable state when we're enveloped in frequencies like, let's say, electromagnetic fields, EMF, the same frequencies and magnetic fields that power our tablets and cell phones, and some of the energies like in electric cars and bikes. These are modern conveniences, but on the other side of the coin, they also, the agencies that regulate and control the intensity of these different kinds of energies, they're not necessarily guided by their caring about the health benefits or the challenges with health.
Right.
What is often driven by those agencies and the companies are the economics,
right,
not the health part. So I feel kind of responsible to spend time to come up with solutions, spend time in educating the general public and the healthcare community as to the challenges that these kinds of subtle energies and exogenous or man-made frequencies, how they can affect the body, and then basically put that out there. And so we developed shielding and blocking was our initial way, which was the most advanced ways to remediate electromagnetic fields.
Mm-hmm.
But just recently, over the last 3 years, we developed another application, which is harmonizing. So we've actually created a way, again, back to my earlier research, where we harnessed all these frequencies and understood what they do. Well, now we figured out a way to actually record some of those frequencies in nature and then imprint them or put them onto our materials. So rather than standing and sitting in sunlight, we can now harness some of those energies, important energies, and put them into our materials. So you're getting the benefit without having the time, spending time in sun or spending time touching the earth. We can now put them into our products so that while you're using the product, you're not just getting the benefit of infrared, but you're also getting grounding and you're getting a lot of other things. So I think that's important. But on the PEMF side, I need to just illuminate the community in one way.
Yes, please do. Again, it. We'll come back to that.
There's a lot of different roads to Rome. Okay.
Yes.
And most other companies or inventors that make this technology, they do what's called broad spectrum. They send out the full array of electromagnetic fields in the way they broadcast them in their devices. The challenge with that, as I see it as a scientist, is that not some of them, a certain percentage of those frequencies are not healthy for you. And so the idea behind that technology, the other guys out there, is I'm going to throw out everything at you, Melissa. Something's going to stick, and then, you know, your body will benefit. Well, that's good. I think that's okay. But I thought, well, why not spend a little bit more time and curate, pull out, filter out, and find out the exact ones or close to the exact ones that will benefit you, and just broadcast and pulse those. So I should back up a little bit further and say that pulsing a technology is creating a little bit more physiological response than if you're streaming something. So imagine if you were sitting in a room and you turn the light on. That light is coming into the room and it's streaming.
Right.
Your eye and your brain would act differently if one of your little kids was at the light switch and turning it on and off and on and off and on and off. It was blinking.
Yes.
The blinking is a lot more intense response or stimulant. Right. And most of our body, functions happen because of different kinds of stimulants.
Right.
And so I love the aspect of PEMF, the fact that you can pulse a field of energy. But I wanted to pulse the energy fields that I picked out, that I knew would be best for you.
Only the healthy ones.
Only the healthy ones, exactly.
Right.
So 2 of them will help your brain slow down and relax. So if you're having trouble putting your kids down to sleep, I was going to say throw them on the mat, but I know child services will come after me. So all I want to say is gently place them on the Therapro, hit a P1 or P2, and it will calm them down. They'll go to sleep. Whenever I put that pad on that function for me, towards bedtime, I usually wake up the following morning. My pillow is filled with drool because I'm just thinking so deeply. The other 2 functions, P3 and 4, do just the opposite. They actually stimulate your brain activity. So if you're getting ready for a competition, like an athletic competition, or you're getting ready for a presentation, I often use P3 and 4 when I'm doing my research at the lab. So I'm just zero focus. I use that. And then P5 through 8, the next 4 functions are from acute to chronic pain. And then the P9 function is a 5-second snapshot of all of the various 1 through 8, so that you get like a cocktail going on. And that's what I sit on mostly during the day at the lab. I use P9. So that's a great aspect, I think that's a little bit different than most of the other guys out there that are making these kinds of devices.
And I really appreciate that explanation, because everybody's heard of EMF, electromagnetic fields, and have heard they're generally talked about in a negative
Yes.
context because of the EMF that's coming off all of our devices and how that is known to be harmful to our body. And
Right.
your explanation, we now understand that there's both good and bad, and the good can be pulsed to our body for our body to have greater benefit rather than streaming. So thank you for explaining that. I have greater, deeper understanding now too.
Cool.
Your company is also very well known for saunas. So I would love for you to talk about how you've made it easy for people to enjoy the benefits of saunas in their home without having to build this ginormous structure in their home and renovate their bathroom.
Great, cool. Well, I get that. And frankly, the first sauna we make, and we still make them, is the traditional wooden type saunas, cabins and so forth,
right.
Different sizes. And it uses a lot of our technology. But and again, I'm going back 25 years ago, the sauna we made was probably the most advanced and still is, the wooden types. But when we started to distribute them to our customers, we and the patients that are in our network, this is the kind of things that we were hearing back. I love the sauna, but I live in Minnesota and I don't really have enough money to pay for, a good wooden sauna. And the best wooden saunas out there could be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and it's, right. I'm very, very frugal as an individual, and your money is my money. And so I'm looking at, and you can see this the way that what we charge for our devices. They offer a lot of value. You get a lot for your money, a lot of technology for your money. So I live in Minnesota and I got plenty of room, but I don't have money. I don't have the money to pay for a good wooden one. Then the other thing I heard was, I live on Park Avenue. I've got a 700-foot apartment that cost $1.5 million, and I need a sauna, but I have virtually no space. So I came up with a design that was space saving and also was in and around $1,000. And that's the Thera 360 Plus portable sauna, which humbly said we're leaders in the world in that device. We employ everything in there. You get natural gemstones, tourmaline that I farm from a blue zone in the world. With people listening, that is where on average most people live greater than 100 years of age. So I actually visited the places that I get my stones from, and I tested them with my devices, and I met a woman that was 118 years old, and she was vibrant and very coherent, and played mahjong, which is like a game. And she worked with trees, like bonsai trees, to curate them, and was very agile with her hands and very, very present. Not the 118-year-old people in the US, not quite the same profile. So
I love that, and thank you for sharing that. And that is now a documentary that's available on Netflix as well, The Blue Zones, if people want to dive more into that.
Yeah, we know one of the guys, Jason Pratt, that did a beautiful documentary about that, Blue Zones. Also, Darren Olin, who's our friend, went with Zac Efron to a blue zone that's in the Mediterranean, Sardinia. Yeah, so there's a lot of his science on this, and it's kind of cool. Yes. So that interested me. Why do people live to be that age, right? Yeah, so I spare no expense. I kind of check out the things that I think that we all need, that are contrasted in a positive way from the things that are our normal American lifestyle or modern lifestyle. And I try to incorporate them in our devices and then bring them into your home so that you can enjoy your life and also maintain the constitution of the way that nature intended us to be in terms of being healthy.
And so much in your saunas, and I've been in one, and your head sticks out and then you zip up the rest of your body in it. And for those watching on YouTube, this episode, you can see it right behind, be right there. That really doesn't take up much space at all.
Yeah, about three square feet.
Right.
And it folds up, so you can put it under your bed or in a closet. It has the tourmaline stones. It has the two trilite panels inside that we talked about that have the red light and the near frequencies. It has full spectrum infrared. So virtually when you're in the sauna, you're bathing in these wavelengths. We purposely made it with your head out because remember, my first orientation was through trying to figure out how to help my daughter with a Lyme.
Right.
One of the front line defenses against invaders like parasites, mold, bacteria, viruses is raising your core temperature to about 101 degrees or a little bit higher. So that's a fever, as most commonly described.
Right.
So what we can do in that sauna is raise your body temperature without raising your brain temperature.
Right.
And that's super important because the brain cell is much more sensitive to heat than your body is.
Right.
So how do I do that? How do I raise your body and not raise your brain? Well, develop something with your head out. And then, so that was one of the reasons. The other is that some people are feeling claustrophobic when they're in a cabin. And so now your head's out. You can view your garden. You can view your living room or your workspace. It's very portable. It folds up. If you have dental amalgams, the metal that dentists use in traditional dentistry, part of that amalgam has mercury in it, and the mercury is affected by heat. And so if you're in the wooden box type sauna, steam room, or hot rock sauna, it elevates the temperature of that metal in your mouth. Then you get mercury off-gassing. There's very strong science that correlates mercury toxicity with cognitive challenges. Yes. So like lead and some other heavy metals that we know that are already in our food sources, air supply, and water. And so having a device that will actually pull all those toxins out of your body and not have anything that generates more toxins in your body at the same process is really important. All the materials, as I mentioned, are tested by third party. They're natural, organic bamboo. So you're not generating any toxins. In fact, all we're doing is pulling poisons out. And there's no electromagnetic fields. But I really can't use the word no because that's an absolute. If you took a Gauss meter and you put it right on the power supply that's approximately 20 inches away from where you sit in the sauna, you'll get a very light reading, a very small reading. But as soon as you come within an inch away from that power supply, it drops off immediately. So virtually when you're sitting in the sauna, your body's not exposed to any electromagnetic fields. So only the good, not anything bad. There is a grounding mat in there, so we do ground the body. So to your point earlier, we're exposed to EMF, we're exposed to these magnetic fields day in and out with holding our various different phones or being in front of screens. So not sure about an hour on and an hour off piece, because I've noticed that the body will release or let go of EMF that we're storing in our cells much quicker than the time that you're exposed to it. But I think for our kids particularly, it's probably a good study or a good process to have them study, because now they're not learning on books anymore. They're learning on tablets and on computers, So it's a good idea to have an hour on, for studies and then an hour off, just having fun,
playing outside.
Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal, but
like we used to.
Yeah, imagine that, right? Yeah, that would be ideal. Yes. So I think that the body gets rid of these electronic fields faster, particularly if you're grounded. So your point, like if you're outside, you're hugging trees, you got your shoes off, you're in the grass or walking on the sand, these energies are going to leave your body quicker, and they'll be replaced by earth energies, which actually counteract the negative effects of EMF. And so in our sauna and all of our devices, we use electrical grounding, we use natural energies, certain kinds of energies that are supported by paramagnetic materials, earth materials like shungite, is one of them we use.
Right. Yep.
And then we integrate that into our materials so that if you're within 1.5 to 3 feet of any of our devices, it's actually pulling those negative energies out of your body like a magnet. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love all of it. And I don't know if you have this tagline. However, what I'm hearing is only the good and none of the bad
But we do our
in
best
your
to stay
product.
in that lane. Yeah, we try to do that. Yeah, as best we can.
Love it. So I know you have many, many products, and we could talk here for hours about all of them. Is there any other product that you would like to touch on here today before we move on?
Well, the two big categories in infrared delivery would be a full body experience. That's our infrared sauna. And we do make a wooden one, by the way, but the most popular one and what we're known for is the portable. The other is the on-body. That would be the healing pads. So it could be the Instant Calma, which is the Jade Pad full spectrum, the Therapro, which is the multifunction one, or the Tri-Light systems. And now, I don't know whether you saw, but I've taken Tri-Light and I went crazy with it. We have a mask now for
I did see that.
We have something for neck and for chest.
Yes.
We also have what's called a perfect pad, which goes over your shoulders like a shawl.
Yes.
It has natural tourmaline, red, orange tourmaline that's in the perimeter of it. So you're getting negative ions and the Tri-Light over an area of your body that's pretty hard. Like if you've got shoulder challenges or you have, most people hold their stress right between the shoulder blades. So this pad is just perfect. That's what we call a perfect pad. So
right
that's brand new for this for the Christmas season. So I love that.
My husband has the TheraFusion Instant Calm Healer that you just talked about. That was what I bought the three years ago when I first met you, and he has been using it recently because we've had all this snow and his shoulders and neck were really sore. And so he lies on it on the couch and he has no idea why it works. He just knows it works. And that's all that matters. And great. We've got into a lot of the science here because I love the science and I love how you explain it so the layman can understand it. However, for any of the audience listening, if this was even too much science for you, it doesn't matter. Just use the product because it will work. And you don't necessarily have to understand why it works. You just get to enjoy the benefits of the fact that it does work.
And we stand behind everything we do. So if save the box, save the materials, try it out. If it doesn't work for you, just give us a shout. You may have to pay for the shipping back, but we stand behind everything we make. And most of our products are plug and play. And so what I noticed a few years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, we have, like I mentioned earlier, we service people in pain and have chronic ailments all over the world now. And some of them are in really remote areas like Tahiti or Bali. Now, if you're a Lyme patient or a cancer patient and you're using this and you need it every day to feel healthy, like say the sauna, and some part goes bad because it's electrical, so things wear out over time, we could diagnose that challenge. We could, on the telephone, we could air express a part to you that you just unplug the old part, plug in the new part within a day or two, and you're back,
back in operation.
Yeah. Prior to that, and all of our competitors, you have to redeem the product. If it's in Bali, it takes a week to get it, a week to repair it, a week to get it back. You're very vibrant, Melissa, and I'm sure that you're very healthy on many levels. But when you have a chronic ailment, 3 weeks is an eternity. Yes. If you're depending on a device to give you, bring you to normality. And so we really, part of our pain to purpose story, experiencing that dynamic with my daughter and dealing with chronic disease over the last 25 years, I truly can appreciate what it's like when you're not feeling well. We're just so close to it. And so that becomes your lifeline, and having the ability to get back on with, the way that we've developed our device is pretty important. The other technology, I think we built a bunch of accessories. So I had this concept of what I call stacking hacks. So a biohack is just, a type of technology, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can stack to get that synergistic or combination effect. And right. So when you're in sauna, we can bring aromatherapy in. It goes right through your skin into your bloodstream. So that's like medicine. We can bring in guided meditation so you can actually get into deep consciousness. We can do reflexology and hit all of your different reflexology points, which are meridians that are tied to body function. We can do sound meditation. So sight sound, we do ozone intervention, so you can bring more oxygen through that tent. All in that 1 30-minute session, you can have all these other interventions working. So I love that. And then I guess the latest is the contrast therapy between hot and cold. So we introduced about 2 years ago Therafrost, which is a cold immersion tank. It looks like some of the other ones out there. We're fairly priced in terms of competitively with everyone else. But one thing we do that no one will do for the next 20 years, because we've got 3 patents on it, is to, when you're immersing in our water, that water is structured, which is just what sunlight does. So it's actually influencing the structure of your water cells inside of your body. Even if you're in it for 2 or 3 minutes, it's restructuring all of your water. And you need structured water in order for your cells to communicate on an optimal level. So back to our initial statement, we heal and we get sick on a cell level. So if I can improve cell communication, I know I'm making you healthier. And so we do that. We employ that kind of concept in everything we make.
And I experienced that 2 years ago at the trade show, and I'd come in on a red eye. And then I got into the Therafrost, followed by the sauna. And I had no problems getting through that day, even though I'd been on a flight all night long and not really slept at all. So that's just another benefit of it, aside from all the other myriad of benefits, is I truly do put the fact that I had no problems getting through that day down to the fact that I started my day as soon as I arrived at the hotel with the opportunity to, hey, let's dunk in a cold tank, because I like to try things. So
was that the first time you ever experienced that?
Yes.
No,
and I was very happy to have a coach there, because she was awesome and just helped me through the breathing of getting in low temperature. And I probably would have leapt out if I didn't have a coach there just guiding me through my breathing.
You know, that's so important, and I'm so happy you said that. And I really want to reach out to everyone that's watching today. My favorite combination is this cold and hot combination. But even if you just experience the cold immersion, you could start off with a cold shower every day. That may not sound too attractive, especially during the wintertime. But cold immersion employs a lot of different physiological events in the body. And my hat's off to you, because it takes a certain kind of person to challenge their fear. And I'm actually doing some research, emotional research, in what it takes for someone to come right up to that wall where maybe every part of your intuitive sense says, no way, I'm getting into 37-degree water, right? It's only 3 minutes. So for me, when I first immersed, I said, I can do anything for 3 minutes. So I challenged myself like that. But I also am a scientist, so I looked at all the intellectual parts. I just didn't address the emotional part, how it would affect me. It had 2 effects on me, which I've seen now in all the newbies like yourself that have tried it for the first time. One, you're facing this fear. Okay, you go through it and now you feel exhilarated when you come out. But more importantly, subconsciously, you start to think, wow, if I can do this, I can do anything. And I think that part, just from a personal growth experience, what I've seen and heard anecdotally from a lot of our customers that have gone through that first experience and now are kind of hooked on it like I am, it's really amazing. And I think like I said earlier, it's very misunderstood and understated how powerful our body is in healing. And it's misunderstood exactly how powerful we are as individuals, and in terms of our emotional state as well. Yes. And so I think in order for us to be complete, we have to actually deal with not just the physical, but also with the emotional part and connect the dots.
Yeah. And it ties in beautifully with the work that I do, and the trainings that I offer is addressing all of that. And so for me, I think jumping in, first of all, I'm Canadian. And so I didn't really associate what 37 degrees Fahrenheit was, I don't believe, before I leapt in, although I do know 33 is 0. I just didn't connect the dots, and then jumped in and breathed through. And then once I even hit that 3 minutes, she said, you can stay in longer if you want, up to 5. And I did, because once I broke through that barrier, exactly as you said, I knew that I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I decided to make the most of the opportunity to do that. And then I got out and then I got to enjoy the sauna.
yeah, yeah.
So I've loved this conversation here today, Robby. Thank you so much for your time and educating the audience in these powerful modes of healing. And I hope that every single listener checks out your website, looks at your incredible products, because every human being can benefit from at least one of the products in your product line.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I like to ask all of my guests on the show this question. What does "don't wait for your wake-up call" mean to you?
Hmm. I think one of the unique aspects of just being human is that our body has signaling systems that we call a symptom.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the general public, like, I don't know, I think maybe we learned in high school, no pain, no gain. I don't know, even know where that came from.
Yeah,
That
true enough.
sounds kind of a little funky, you know? But most people that I've seen ignore the very subtle and simple signs of shift and change that our body is telling us.
Yes.
You know, like you have psoriasis or you have eczema on your skin. They look at it, well, it's just a skin thing, but no, it's a signal that your body's telling you that the internal chemistry is off. So address the root cause of the problem, not just the symptom. Okay. And so to me, when you ask that question, I think that it's a wake-up call. The wake-up call is really notice what you notice. Notice what's shifting in your energy, or as you're getting old. Like, what are the things that are shifting, and then shift with it, adjust with it. Pay attention to the signs that your body is giving you, because we're living in a kind of a very interesting time on the planet. Our environment is getting more toxic even by the minute as we talk. Everybody's genetics are a little different. Everybody's choices, lifestyle choices, are different that affect your genetics. That's called epigenetics, that ultimately express in some kind of symptom. So pay attention to all these signs and react to the signs. Don't ignore them.
Yes.
Because I think that's going to improve your quality of life. And then hopefully, you'll be healthy from the first to your last breath.
I love that and fully agree with it. And it's so true. It's like, if you notice the symptoms initially and you react to it and you do something about it, it's so much easier to overcome those symptoms and allow your body to heal than if you let the symptoms get worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it just takes so much more effort to heal. So thank you for that. Now, if people want to get hold of you or social media, are there any contact information that you would like to share with the audience? I'm an affiliate of Therasage, so I've put my link into the show notes. So if people want to go to the website, they can go there.
Right. So website's pretty informative, therasage.com, THERASAGE. Our Instagram is Therasage Infrared. So check that one out, because it's actually one of my favorite things to do next in my little morning routine. I love to just look at our Instagram site, because we do not sponsor people. We do not pay people to post their experiences with our devices. And just to see people's excitement, bringing their kids in, and their dogs and cats are jumping all around, and they can't wait to get in the sauna and try the healing pad out. And just, I learn more from, even though I have direct intentions with everything I make, I learn more from the customer experience and how they apply and how they articulate. That's really important to me. So I love my Instagram. We have a Facebook. We have a LinkedIn. Again, therasage.com. And then we have an 800 number, 888-416-4441. We do have a healthcare committee that I manage. So you can call up, make a free appointment if you've got a health challenge. If you've gotten one of our devices and you want to know how, a special protocol to apply just for your circumstances, you can call up, make an appointment that serves you and your timing. And one of my health advisors will be happy to chime in and give you some direction in that regard. So we're very accessible. It's a little bit crazier now with the holidays, so I'm going to apologize right up front if we haven't gotten back to you immediately, but we keep building out our staff of customer service so that we not only take care of challenges that you have personally, but if you need some support on our devices, as well as need some accessories or any challenges on any level, we can help you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I love that you have that health committee as well for people that, may need a specific protocol. That's an amazing service that you offer. And as we wrap up this episode, Robby, is there any last words of wisdom or anything that you would like to share with the audience?
I don't even know how much time we've spent. I hope it wasn't overbearing on people listening, but I think I'd just like to finish by saying that we're kind of living in a world where a lot of the information is being channeled to a place where we don't get everything we need in order to make an informed choice. I love, Melissa, the fact that you've had me on and have other great guests. 202 episodes. My God, you're a busy girl. To really illuminate and allow third parties or people like myself that have interesting bodies of work to educate the public as to other ways to think about things. In Canada, you have Health Canada, and you have a very interesting healthcare system that sort of channels the public to think a certain way. In America, it's no different. There on TV, you see all these amazing commercials that show people with smiling faces. They name a new drug. They tell you like 2 minutes about what it's going to do and 25 minutes about how it's going to hurt you, which they have to do. But, it's just it's a different approach. So I love the freedom of speech and the aspect of you creating a platform that allows all of us to communicate a little better and give people interesting things to think about without judgment. I'm not looking we're a very philanthropic based company. We've had our own life experience. So knowing that it's our joy, my wife and I, to support the general health and well-being of our community. And I think that if you're working with a practitioner that is not giving you advice that when you think about it in the quiet of the night, that works, that you're unsettled about it, find a practitioner that resonates with you. Okay, don't give up. Because oftentimes, I think there's some crazy statistic that 7 out of 10 diagnoses are wrong. And they're wrong because the doctor isn't asking the right questions. So if you're one of those people out there and you don't think things are right, don't give up until you find the right doctor and you get on the road to recovery. So hang in there. There's hope. And I'm sure that, with your help and a lot of my friends in the world that I travel in, you'll find a resource that'll work for you.
Well, thank you. I love that. And it so aligns with my message as well. Get a second opinion and a third opinion and trust your gut, because it will never lead you astray.
Absolutely.
And I also want to say thank you very much. I know you have your own philanthropic work, and you guys also kindly donated to Girls Matter, my nonprofit helping keeping girls in school in Uganda and Kenya. Because together, when we help others in the world rise up, we all rise up together. So I really appreciate that. And thank you again for being here. And thank you to my audience for tuning in, being open to learning about your health, empowering yourself, up-leveling yourself. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
Are you a practitioner or a coach listening to this? If so, I would love to ask you, do you use hypnotherapy in your practice working with clients? And if not, would you like to? The power of hypnotherapy is limitless. And so often we experience our clients struggling to reach their goals. It's because they're coming up against their own brick walls and getting stuck. But you can help them through the power of hypnosis break through all of that, working with their unconscious mind to put the suggestions in, to have them taking the action to achieve the results that they want. They are thrilled with your coaching techniques. They're getting the results they want. You feel amazing because you are helping your client get the results they want. It's a win-win. And another win is that it's an added revenue stream for you in your business. So if you like the feel of helping your clients get the results they want, if you like the sound of that, then definitely reach out, Melissa at yourguidedhealthjourney.com, or click the Linktree link below for my Unlimited Power of Hypnosis class to learn more. It's a weekend designation program that I teach, valid in 42 countries. You write an exam after taking the experiential course, and you can be admitted to the American Board of Hypnotherapy and start using hypnotherapy one-to-one with your clients and have them achieving the results they want.